right, Sonal, I am very excited to talk to you about your story and your journey and how you got here. And frankly, for me, I went from journalist to marketing. And the thing that made me love franchising are franchisees because you're all rock stars. You all made this crazy decision to invest your life savings into a business that you have little to no control over. That's how franchising works. But I want to go way back. Like, how did you even fall into franchising? What is this journey to even becoming a franchisee?
You know, a little bit of luck, a little bit of chance, and just grabbing opportunities as they come through. I think it's never. Um, so for me, to start from the beginning, I came to this country, to the US in 96, and I was, I had a bachelor's in chemistry, and I was working in clinical research for a while. The early years in 2001, I had my first child, and that was when me and my husband had decided that I would stay at home for a while just to be with her and enjoy motherhood as it is. So and that's what I did. What happened was, my husband had always been, one of those things where you're always looking for some kind of opportunity, something coming along. Him and a friend of ours went to this open house for a QSR, quick service restaurant franchise, here in Raleigh, just to get information. And before you know it, they had signed up for 3 locations and come back home. And it was just one of those things where, hey, we just got this, we got this restaurant franchise, and now we are gonna do it. And I was like, okay, what? I have no knowledge regarding business, never done anything like this before. And he was like, you know what? It's okay. We will learn. It's fine. We can do it. And he was like, his selling point to me was, it'll be so easy for you. You don't have to work the 9 to 5 job. And you'll have so much flexibility with the child. So yeah. And I was also like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. And I just jumped into it. Was it easy? Absolutely not. I mean, oh, we had our own issues, and we did, but I did that. I mean, we had that QSR for 10 years, and I learned so much on the go. You learn flexibility. You learn also how to manage your time, because it's not 9 to 5 anymore, but it could be evening hours, it could be morning hours, it could be afternoon hours. So you just learn and you grow. And that's what I did. Actually, I just, like, for those 10 years, with we grew to like 6 restaurants in there. Yeah, quick service, the QSR, we grew to 6. And I had them for about 10 years, and I learned so much in it. I enjoyed it too, though it was not one of the things that I would have gone and done on my own. But like I said before, when opportunity presented itself, we just went right in. But from there, after we sold out of that in 2014. And I was, again, my kids, I had 2 children at that point in time. They were very little. And I think around that time, my focus was on education quite a bit, looking at these supplemental education places, trying to figure out how to better help my kids get a little bit more extra than what they would get at school, right? So, and that's how I went into my second franchising opportunity. Was, again, I was talking to a friend of mine, and this friend has been instrumental for me. She's so close to me, and she has been instrumental in how you just talk about your dreams and just your normal realizations with somebody, and they are kind of listening to you, and they actually help you. And she was one of those who was like, hey, my kids go to this particular learning center, and it's really good. You want to take a look at it? And I did, and I loved the curriculum, and I loved the books and the concept. And I was like, oh my God, I can see myself doing this. Like, this would be fun, right? Something that I can manage on my own. See, the first one was a monster. What we had, was like huge, big. I had 105 employees and all that. And this was something small that, I could just do all on my own with teachers and stuff like that. So I actually approached the franchise door in New Jersey, and I got the first learning center to open up in North Carolina. And I still have that 10 years later. So I went all the way to two locations, and then I scaled back down to one because I'd opened one right prior to COVID. And during COVID, everything went online, and there didn't seem a need for like two brick and mortar spaces, right? So I scaled back down to one. Now during this time, this helped my kids, this helped me. I got in touch with a lot of kids, and it was fun and it was nice. But kids grew up, and the past, like I would say 5 years, the past 5 years, I had been again looking for something else, being like, okay, I like this, but I have so much more time. And we would, the same friend of mine in California, we would keep talking about like like just me, like, oh, I want to do something else, and I still feel like and we would talk about beauty, and we would talk about, oh, you visited this place, did you go for the massage there, did you go for this there? And every time she would talk to me about Woodhouse, that's where even Woodhouse came into play. Was like, she was just like, my God, Sonal, every time I walk in there, you I can see you doing this. This would be because she knows I have a huge passion for skincare. Just one of those things, right? You like to look good. I'm always researching new trends and new new face products or new lines that are coming out there, right? New brands coming out there. And I would keep talking to her about it. Did you hear about this? Did you hear about this new treatment? And she was like, Sonal, I can so see you doing that. And she was like, you should at least go. She was a very regular guest of the Woodhouse in Walnut Creek, California. And she's like, okay, you don't have any around you. So how about, we go down to Charleston all the time. So I went down to Charleston, and I did, visit the Woodhouse in Charleston at that point in time. And I absolutely fell in love. Right. So that was for me after doing these three businesses. You know how you feel like you came home?
Yeah.
That was Woodhouse for me. I loved that the whole overall experience from the time you enter the spa, right? The way, the guest service, the guest experience, your the robes and the slippers and the little small signature amenities that they had provided. I absolutely fell in love. The services were amazing. That elevated luxury experience, but you don't feel like you spend like, oh my God, like this is only a once in a while thing that I can do, but something that's so approachable and yet gives you that feeling of luxury, right? And that was a niche market that my area definitely needed in here where I'm at. And that's how I was like, okay, I need to do this, and jumped into it. The same friend in California, I know it was a huge investment and all. So I was like, I don't know if I can do this by myself. And she's like, nope, I want to help you. I can be right there with you as long as you need me. And then, let's do this together because I would love to see you. I feel like you'd be really successful in it. And that's how it came to be, where I opened a Woodhouse here.
When did you open in Woodhouse?
So this is my first location, and I opened in November of 2022.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, I have so many comments and questions from that opening. It's awesome. Out of curiosity, do you mind sharing what the QSR brand was?
Oh no, yeah, it was Dunkin' Donuts, Baskin Robbins.
Oh, that's awesome. And then the education brand was what?
That was JEI Learning Center.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So, first comment: the consistency in your journey with your husband and a friend, you and a friend, and then your friend saying, "Go check this out." Like, the reality is, if franchise brands were to listen to your story behind the scenes, that the family and friend conversation ends up being so vital to, yes, you can do this. If you don't have that, that's amazing. I hear, like, the way that you talk about your husband, they go to an open house and they come back, we bought a franchise. That's a superpower of your husband's, because that means he didn't even look at fear. He just said, like, let's go do this for our family, which is pretty incredible. I hear your story about, like, even even saying like, you know what, COVID hit, I can still be successful with one education unit. I have the ability to close it. I hear
Mhm.
we grew 6 Dunkin' Donut Baskin Robbins, and then we knew when it was time to exit so that we could take a
Mhm.
multiple and move on. And then like the reality is you've touched on so many different areas of profitability, like behind the scenes. A QSR brand, not much profitability.
No.
Education a little bit more. Spa and wellness will increase, but when you're dealing with a lot more volumes, there's a lot more costs. And so
Mhm.
all of these things have like worked together. It's such an awesome story. When you look backwards, I mean, talking 2004 to now, you've been a franchisee for 20 years.
20 years, yes.
Like, do you feel like you've hit the dream, or does the dream keep growing from here? Like, obviously, you've touched 3 different concepts and you've had success in all 3.
So for me, definitely with Woodhouse Spa, I have hit my dream. Um, I I I want to grow this brand for now. Now,
Yeah.
if you ask me 10 years from now, who knows what it will be? My track record tells me that I'm moving from one, as long as I'm moving to something even more exciting and adventurous and, following the trends of the industry. That's what it's about, right? That's what makes it interesting, and it keeps you alive and motivated and dedicated to whatever you're doing. But with me right now, if Woodhouse is definitely my dream, because again, at I'm 50, and at this stage, well-being, wellness, right, healthcare, your own self-care and skincare takes a huge part, I believe, in your life. And to be doing something like a business that's also associated with that just makes you feel all that much, for want of not better, but just makes you feel so good about what you're doing, because you're not just doing it for yourself, also for your guests. Every person who leaves the spa, honest, they are so happy. And to see that happiness now at this stage, to be providing that, it's something else entirely. It makes you feel good.
Is that like I think about, and this is going to sound judgmental. I'm a Dunkin' Donuts super fan. I go there almost every morning, but it's a very transactional relationship. It's not like the people behind the counter understand who I am, or at me at fault, I haven't taken the time to understand them. And if you go through your journey as a business owner, you go from my viewpoint, transactional to relationship. Now you're dealing with kids and parents, and you're trying to
Mhm.
give them that supplemental. To now you're like trying to help people live their best life and
Mhm.
decrease stress, which creates longevity. Like, has that added more purpose? Like, if you reflect backwards, has it gone from transactional to purpose too?
Yeah, because if you go to see, Woodhouse for me is like the perfect culmination of Duncan and experience that I got from Duncan, dealing with 5,000 to 8,000 customers a week in one store. So if you go through the 6, you can see the magnitude of how many guests that we were going through. Like, we were coming through the 6 locations, to JEI, where I had 150, 170, maybe somewhere around that students, but it was doable. I knew each student by name, each of my student, I knew their parents. It was like, this very informal relationship. I was taking care of their kids education. That means a lot, right? They trusted me, right? They trusted everything that came out of my mouth, and I took care to make sure that I do the right thing. Now with Woodhouse, it's the perfect, it's not 100, 200, but it's neither 5,000, right, in a month. It's a combination of the two, so that customer service with that, um, relationship building, because you want them to come back again, right? We want them to make this a part, we want them to make the Woodhouse experience a part of their routine, where they're coming in once a month or once in 6 weeks, and they feel like family. They feel like they know, as soon as they enter, they know exactly where to go. They know their robe will be ready, they know they'll have a drink there, right? Because after a while, we know our guests too, so we will do the little things to make them feel be at home. So it's like, for me, the perfect culmination of everything that I've learned in the past 20 years that I'm now using.
Love it. I think about my own story. I started our company in 2008. So we're hitting 16 years of doing this. And I have a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old. And so they've now grown up watching dad be an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
Your children have done the same. They've watched mom and dad be entrepreneurs, but they've watched mom lead companies. Like, and I think back to our lives. My parents were not entrepreneurial. They were very I did not have a silver spoon. It was working class family. But I think about the asset of having your parent be an entrepreneur. Out of curiosity, do your children look at what you're doing, and has that formed what they want to do in their lives, or are they like, no, I don't want to do that?
Definitely with my son, he wants to go into business.
Yeah.
And he wants to do business management and entrepreneurship and marketing, and he looks into, he helps me with my my educational business. He'll go there and he'll sit at the if I'm not there, he'll be out there, he'll talk to parents in whichever way he can. So he does help me a bit in there. My daughter used to a lot. She understands this perfectly, but she has taken a different, she wants to go into medicine. So for her, her thing is, mom, I'm going to first try my best to get that, and if that doesn't go anywhere, I know that this is waiting for me. But for my son, it's inspired him a lot. He definitely wants to get into business.
It's interesting. I would have thought you would have said the reverse, because your daughter is growing up watching a powerful female run businesses. Right?
She was very clear from the beginning what she wanted to be. So unless that doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So now, you know how to do this. You know what bad days are, because you go through first having a kid in 2001. So we went through September 11th. You have 2008, which is the worst economic conditions that we've had to face. And then you have COVID. Does anything scare you in business anymore? Is it like have you fought through the brick walls that you're good?
Definitely done everything I can. Again, you know what? I take business as it comes, honest to God, because you just never know. I could say right now I've seen everything, and 2 years down the road, I might just face something that I never thought that something like that would happen. But would it faze me? I might get tensed. I might get, anxious, which is a very normal human being thing to be like. But no, I don't think it would faze me at all. I think this does make you tough. Business makes you tough because you never know, right? There's always if there's ups and downs in anything, it's probably business is the biggest place where you see that the most, right? You can be doing really good one year and you might be not, and then you kind of have to make through it to get to that point again. And that's what it is. So no, it teaches you so much resilience. It teaches you resilience.
Can you remember a moment, whether that's at Duncan or after, that you're like, you could tell that your anxiety was just different, like you've been through enough to stop worrying about the ups and downs?
I am trying to think along those lines. I think every business have had a little bit of that. Even when I was, starting Woodhouse, it's a huge investment, and it does give you, anxiety, maybe some nightmares too, initially when we started, because I was not very sure, where this would take me. It's like you're going into this absolutely brand new territory, and, into this new concept that, you may have trained on, and but you're going in as a business person. And you know nothing about it. It's just every day as you learn, you figure out, oh, this is how I'm supposed to do it. Oh, so that movement went on for the first 6 months when I opened the spa. And I still pushed through it. It was just every day was like, that's okay. We got this. Now the next part. So, it's just taking it a step at a time and doing what you need to do in the day. And it just comes through.
I think there's a big insight in there, because the reality is, like, you've been through so many different franchises, and you've seen so many different moments. But I think it's important for franchisors to hear what you just said. Like, even with all of your experience, they're still unknown because you're in a new category. You're dealing with a different type of employee. You're dealing with a different type of customer. And even though you have a tremendous business background, sometimes it can be scary. And if
yes,
the franchisor has empathy for that, the franchisor ends up being the winner because then they listen to their franchisees. If a franchisor, which, like you go from a Dunkin' system, which you are in a sea of franchisees where you were early on enough where you were probably taking care of a little bit more than entering the system today. But still, it's different. And so when the franchisor can have empathy, now all of a sudden that's another thing that makes a franchisee say, this is absolutely where I want to be. And it sounds like you're going through that.
Woodhouse is definitely that.
That's awesome.
That I can, in my 20 years of experience, I think I've hit that franchisor that actually truly has this system, this concept, and not just that, the empathy and that feeling of growing along with the franchisees. Like you said, Duncan was very, very big. You get lost. The other business was like very, very small. Like it was very, when you look up JEI, you will know, like, it's quite a normal, even though it's been around for a long time. It's a small business. And this is that category, which is right there in the middle, which is growing. And the franchisor is neither too big nor too small, but they know they have a vision, right? And they're following that vision, and it actually is the vision is in alignment with the franchisees also, for the most part in the bigger picture. So that truly helps. And to me, I get that. I get that support. I see that so much of that support from them, and I've seen them right from the time we signed on the on the FD. I see that even among the franchisees. It's amazing to have this family that cares for each other, looks out for each other, helps each other, which you may not see in a lot of other franchises because there tends to be a lot more competition just within the system.
Well, I think the weight of your statement carries more weight because you've seen what support looks in other areas. Now, if someone's watching this and heard what you just said, I mean, that's a validation that's hard to get based on the experience, because you've seen the ups and downs of what support and guidance looks like, and that's awesome. So, well, I'm grateful that you shared the story. What a great story! 20 years as a franchisee, it's awesome. I look forward to continuing to learn more about it. But thanks for sharing some of your story with us.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
For Sonal, I'm Nick. This is another episode of Meet the Z.